All right, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to the Hinkieittes podcast. Uh, Today we're gonna discuss a few games, a few of the recent games. We've just played the Sixers have just played the Knicks. They've played the Warriors, and they've played Portland tonight. So we want to go over how the Sixers have been looking. Have they been tanking? Have they been trying to win? What exactly is going on, especially since the news of Embiid being shut down for the season. So let's jump right off. The very last game against the Knicks, well, the most recent game against the Knicks. How do you feel about how do you feel about that game? How do you feel about the team's performance and what stood out to you?
Well, I'm a big picture guy. I think for all parties involved, what you want to see is competitive effort on both ends. Maybe you want to see some guys who aren't struggling. You want to see them, or some guys who are struggling. You want to see them have a good game, and that's kind of what you got against the Knicks. We played them till the end. Paul George had a good game, which is good to see because he had been struggling for some weeks and for a month actually, the year 2025. And it's just good to see that he still had it. I mean, even though it wasn't a great game, I walked away confident that he still had something left in the tank. And we lost, which is good for the tank. So all in all, the Knicks game was a good outcome.
Okay, I actually agree. We did fight hard. We did fight hard. As you can see in that game, Maxey went off for 30 points. Drummond had 9 rebounds. And then even Paul George managed to pull in 25 points and have 7 assists. So I guess the big story about this Knicks game was that Paul George tapped into his vintage self. He started to look like the old Paul George. Um, do you think that's like a sign of hope for Paul George, or are you still unsure about him as a fit in Philly?
I mean, ultimately our goal is to have our best players play and to see what happens in a best case scenario, everyone being healthy and everyone being present. And to Paul's credit, I guess a disclaimer, um, he hasn't barely played with Joel and Maxi at the same time. Um, but when they have played, it hasn't looked great. The chemistry doesn't look great. We don't generate a lot of good shots consistently,
Mhm.
just kind of like naturally, um, because of Paul George. I've seen Paul like trying to get to the rim way more lately than before. So I give him
Yep.
credit for that. But when he's just being himself, his shot diet is a lot of mid-range pull-ups, a lot of threes and pull-up threes, which he's very good at, but um, it's not really like capitalizing off of the advantage that Joel and Maxi create. And also part of that is them too. I think back to the Bulls game we had where Maxi and Embiid looked really good together. Um, Earlier, I think it was around New Year's. Um, Paul didn't have a great game because it's just the way that the Maxi and B pick and roll is tweaked. Um,
Right.
you know, Paul doesn't fit in there like a missing piece. And then, Paul and Maxi have played a lot together. I don't think
Hmm.
they have particularly great combo either. I think they just kind of take turns. What do you think about them?
I mean, well, I would have to. Well, first and foremost, I would have to agree with you as far as Paul George's shot diet. Um, we kind of talked about this in the group chat. His shot diet is not that good, actually. To me, that's what throws off the chemistry, and that's what throws off his fit. Because when you bring Paul George to Philly, one of the things that you expect him to show is his catch and shoot threat ability, right? Like that was his strength in the seasons leading up to his leading up to him arriving to Philly. And I believe that like had he kind of stuck to that type of game plan instead of trying to go for these ISO shots, random step back three pull ups, contested, and all that type of stuff. It's like those are shots where like I mean, don't get me wrong, they look cool if they go in, you know what I'm saying, but they're unnecessary. They're unnecessary, and it's not great team ball. In my opinion, from what I've seen, I think I always thought the Sixers in general look best when they're rotating the ball, kind of like some vintage Spurs. You know what I mean? They start rotating the ball, everybody touches the rock, and then about time you get to like somebody like a Paul George, 9 times out of 10, if the ball moves around, he's actually going to be open, and he can take that catch and shoot three. So that's kind of how I feel. I mean, in the next game, I saw him defending. He looked like he was everywhere. He looked like he was doing his thing or whatnot. Uh, I don't know. We just happened to come up short in that game. Like it's a lot of bad. Well, to me, there was like a little bit of bad, like a little bit of bad IQ as a team going down a stretch of games, and that's kind of been like a trend throughout the season. Yeah, that's kind of what I've noticed. Actually, yeah. How do you feel about the whole IQ of the team? Like, what's going on with the Sixers in these fourth quarters?
Well, even I don't want to say fourth quarter. What I'll say is this: last year, Paul George played with Harden, who is an advantage creator, and Harden kind of did for Paul George what Harden once did for Maxey, in that he simplified his shot diet and had him shooting super efficient shots at his best spots. Catch and shoot three. If you go and look at Maxey's role and the way he scored next to Harden, it's really similar to the way PG scored next to Harden.
That's a good
But
point.
in terms of like, I'm gonna get you a bunch of open threes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, and so when you think about, Harden, he's 6'5", bigger. So a lot of times what teams do is they cross match. So they'll say, well, I'd rather put a big forward, small forward to defend Harden and have the shooting guard defend PG,
Yeah.
because I got one who's gonna guard the perimeter for them pull up threes, and I got one that's gonna be able to bump with Harden. So
Yeah.
these are the kind of things that factor in when you're talking about Paul George having the kind of season he had. It's just this is the kind of impact playing with Harden brings. Whereas when you're playing with the Sixers, the other team is like, all right, my best wing defender I can put on PG. There's no reason not to put him
Mm-hmm.
on PG. I put my best small guard defender on Maxi. So it's not creating that same cross match. And it's, to be honest, when you think about the Maxi and B pick and roll, it just doesn't generate those same looks. It generates a Maxi three, a Maxi layup,
Mm-hmm.
an Embiid midi, maybe an Embiid layup, and then the others kind of come after that. Whereas when Harden runs his action, he's always kind of like trying to get somebody else's defender to look after them for the easy. So, it's a completely different situation, and I don't think it's that is not a matter of IQ. That's just a matter of, you know what I mean? Like if you dump it in the shack, you're gonna get a different look than if Steph Curry has the ball. You know what I mean?
Right.
You just have to move pieces around. But that takes time and it takes practice. So I give them all credit. Embiid hasn't been healthy. Paul and Maxey have barely been healthy. It's hard to build familiarity like that. So we don't I'm
Right.
not saying that they're incapable of it, but it hasn't looked good though thus far.
Yeah. I kind of like I kind of feel that like there's some things I still want to see from Maxi as a point guard, but mostly as a floor general. There's a difference between like point guards, people who run the point, and people who are like real floor generals. I always bring up my favorite example of how I always like Carmelo. Obviously a great scorer, all time level scorer, strictly scorer, right? But I always liked how at one point in time he had Chauncey Billups. I feel like um when he had Iverson and what's my man's name? Who was their point guard when he had Iverson?
No,
Uh,
Eric Snow,
Not Eric Snow. On the Nuggets. Remember when Iverson was on the Nuggets and it
Avery
was
Johnson. No,
oh
Anthony
man,
Carter. Anthony Carter.
was it Anthony Carter?
It was Anthony Carter.
Okay, so like that dynamic, obviously we could see like they were missing some defensive components. Um, Iverson not being a pure point guard. Sometimes he could light it up with the assist, but him not being a pure point guard. So like you said, like the way Paul George and Maxey they kind of take turns. So that wasn't really a recipe for success for Carmelo. But when he got somebody like Chauncey Billups, a floor general, who was able to kind of set the tone for the whole offense, set plays up for the whole offense, and then Carmelo was able to score within the team's system, and he wasn't able to just kind of score all over the place or in spurts and not really affect winning the game. So I feel like it's a similar aspect. Like also when you look at when Carmelo had Jason Kidd for that little stint that he had, right? They they started to win a lot more when they had Jason Kidd. So I think that certain scorers play better when they have a floor general who can really set up the offense. Like sometimes maybe a point guard doesn't always have to go off for 30. If you got elite scorers already around you, maybe you could get, more assists, not forced assists, but if you can set the tone, set up the offense, call plays, see reads that other people don't see, swing the ball around. Like I said, kind of like how James Harden, like you said, how James Harden was able to find shots for Paul George. Um, I still would like to see Maxey kind of grow in that way. I know some people will say that's not his game, but I'll bring up the example with Ben Simmons. When Ben Simmons didn't want to add to his game, it was kind of the direct opposite of Tyrese Maxey. Tyrese Maxey
Well,
scores, he shoots. Ben
there's another
Simmons
dynamic though,
didn't
because
want to shoot.
here's the thing though, and I want to be very honest.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the biggest Maxi supporter ever since we got him. I've
Oh
always
yeah,
believed in him. I still do. But Ben Simmons, I know this might sound crazy. Ben Simmons on camera showed an ability to shoot.
yeah,
Maxi has not shown an ability to be a floor general at all. Not even in a summer workout, and we're in this new
facts.
era of the NBA, right? Where like and like I think of a guy like Tony Parker. He wasn't a
Okay.
floor general, but he was a part of a highly functional, highly consistent, highly disciplined offense for a
Yep.
long time. So you don't
Yep.
gotta be Jason Kidd. Yeah, it makes it easier for a Carmelo, but
Mm-hmm.
is Carmelo taking the shots that we would want to take? Like, okay, Tony Parker might not be Jason Kidd, but he was a hell of a lot more successful than a Carmelo Anthony. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Whereas
Yeah.
like a Carmelo, like Carmelo couldn't even play his own style in the playoffs, really. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
Right.
um, what I mean by that is I understand you want to see Maxi grow as a facilitator.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen that, and I don't see that. Um, I think he's an unselfish player,
Mm-hmm.
that can make the right pass. I think he's a very mechanical passer. He's a very safe passer.
Right.
Like, and I'm gonna say this, he's literally not a good passer. Like, you know how when we've played in the past, I could do some no look, like super accurate type stuff.
Yep. Like natural. Yep.
Like amongst my peers, like I play with you, y'all on my level, I can do stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like when Maxi plays with his peers, he doesn't do that. I've never seen him make like a pass that was like advanced. You know what I mean? I'm not
Right.
trying to,
Right.
and
No, you're
that
right.
is a circumstance of, so you could say like, well, yeah, he plays with Joel Embiid, yeah, but we seen the season a season ago, we saw James Harden lead the league in assists playing with Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's not like it's not possible to do it when you're on a team with Joel Embiid. So all these things come together, and it says that's not who he is.
Right.
And I don't think it'll be who he is. I mean, we've seen weirder developments like out of players, but I don't see any reason or circumstance to think that Maxi will become a better playmaker.
I like your comp when you bring up Tony Parker. That is a very interesting comp right there because that's one thing where the way he played, it was great for that system. It was impactful in that system. It was extremely impactful. Again, like you said, he wasn't exactly the Jason Kidd and the Steve Nashes of those type of guys, but at the same time, he handled the ball well. He made smart decisions. He got it to where he got the ball to where it needed to go. He didn't, like he didn't try to overscore. He always scored within the system. I think that's a very underrated skill to be able to really score effectively in a system, to pass effectively. Even if you're not passing great, you're passing effectively within a system.
Because
Um,
I wanna mention this, rem, and to your point, and I'm gonna give it back to you. But okay, Tony Parker was not a Jason Kidd. We established that, but he
right.
was a part. Think about some of the teams he's been a part of. Think about those finals against LeBron and the Heat.
Yeah.
They were breaking every 3-point record ever. So you got a guy,
Yeah.
he can get you 20 within the flow of the offense, but literally, remember, I think they had the most threes in a final series. I know Danny Green had the most threes in the final.
Danny
So
Green, Gary
literally
Beal.
everybody, Kawhi was eating,
Yeah.
Duncan was eating. They're not really
Yep.
shooting. They wasn't shooting like that. They was kind of, that was before Kawhi was a big. So my point is like, it is possible. This is what I'm saying. It is possible to be a small scoring guard
Yep.
that gets yours
Yep.
while not like giving everybody theirs, but they still getting theirs
Right.
and win.
Yep.
But I
Yep.
don't see a situation where Maxi inches more towards a Harden type. And I
Right.
hope that makes sense. Like, I don't think he needs to grow as a passer. I think, put it like this. Let's say Joel was completely healthy this year, right?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I was
By
thinking this
game
too.
6 or 7,
Mhm.
we could have seen like last year. Like last year, him and we wasn't looking at the team like we need a facilitator. No, they was like 30-7. Yeah, I
Yep.
mean him and Joel was carrying a load. And
Yep.
so I just think that the noise of this year
Hmm.
and the role that and the way Maxi started, like everybody's injured. I gotta carry, I gotta shoot the ball.
Yep.
It kind of put him into this space of like not playing within the offense and being a catch and shoot guy. Like, you know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
And it
Right.
put him
Right.
into this different space, and that's why we're getting these different results. So but I don't think he's ever going to be a Harden. I don't think he should look to be that. I think he should be a high volume, like get right to the rim guy,
Hmm.
and a high volume shoot the three and make the
Yep.
easy passes. That's it.
Yep.
And we see even before Harden left, he was still 21, 22 a game. I think he can still be 25, 26. It'll just be, more efficiency based
Yep.
and more like that and less like give me the ball the whole game and I'm gonna try to do everything.
Right. I think that this is exactly where you're right. As much as I would love to see that kind of evolution, facilitation wise, I can't deny the fact that if we go back to system play, go back to the topic of system play, uh, when Embiid is healthy, Maxi almost looks like the perfect complementary point guard player next to Embiid because he like super maximizes his opportunities that he gets just based off the gravity that Embiid, takes. Like when Embiid is pulling defenders in and you leave Maxey open or one-on-one, 9 times out of 10, Maxey is somewhere running around and he'll catch the pass and he's going to hit that three. You give him space, he's going to step back three. If they do the pick and roll, it's unstoppable. That's oh man, like that year, listen, that year that Embiid was hurt, if Embiid was healthy, was it last year? Last year.
Yeah.
If Embiid was
If he
fully,
finished the year healthy,
if he finished the year fully healthy, like we would have easily beat the Knicks. Like that was like even with Tobias Harris, like not being not being himself in that series. Like because we saw flashes of it in those games. Like remember that game where we fumbled, and we fumbled in the fourth quarter. We were about to win that game. Like the series would have actually been over had we won that game, right?
Right.
So it's like boom, you get past them. Then who do we have after that? Indiana, Halliburton, Siakam. I'm not gonna lie, we had more experience than them. Miles Turner and Siakam
Miles
had
Turner regarding healthy. Joe, you saying Joel's healthy in this hypothetical, right?
completely healthy.
Yeah, he
I'm
would
talking
cook.
about this
He would cook Miles Turner.
exactly, and it would have been bad. It would have been a bad
Bad.
cooking. Like I'm talking about,
Yeah.
put that man on a grill, fry him. Like it was gonna be like man. And then it's like okay, now you get past them. Who do we got left? Boston. Last year we showed we could run with Boston. That series could have went anyway. But guess what? Porzingis wasn't fully healthy, so it's like you almost look at that series. It's like damn, we could have. Oh man, because I noticed when we played them last year, they put a lot of emphasis on trying to stop Maxey. They threw Drew Holiday and Derek White at him. They try to throw Tatum, Jalen, like they tried to throw some bodies at him. And what you had is like the pick and roll. Now you got Embiid rolling to the basket. Now sometimes last year, Embiid didn't always roll to the basket, and that annoys me. That annoys me. But when he does roll to the basket, nobody was gonna stop him. We
I
beat them
want to make
easy.
a
Like
point
we beat
too.
them.
I want to get your thoughts on this. And this is purely hypothetical, but it is, I mean, it is based in my observation of reality, right? When you
Okay.
think about the best players, all right, so Maxi, you said he's the perfect complementary player, right? I want to give, and I want to tell people, I want to explain like how much I agree with that, and I want to put it in a different context.
Okay.
Joel has sticky hands, okay?
Mm-hmm.
He shoots a lot, not the best passer.
Right.
Here's the hypothetical. If you replace Joel with any of the other top 10 players that are not like take away Shea, take away the other point guards, take away Shea, but think about it like this. Imagine Maxi at his all like, how he plays with Joel. Imagine him with Jokic instead.
Oh my goodness.
So Maxi, to me, one of the best catch and shoot players of all time, and a pretty good pull up player, not one of the best ever. So, if he plays with Jokic, you're cutting his pull ups in half, and you're doubling his catch and shoots.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
you're taking away the kind of three that he's bad at, and you're making more of the ones he's good at. And by the way, he's like playing with Jokic is like playing with a Joel that has Harden inside of him. You see what I'm saying? Like a merger of
Mm,
Harden and
yeah,
B and
that's
Harden.
kind of crazy.
You like I think that if Tyrese Maxey, if you switch Tyrese Maxey with Jamal Murray, Maxey would probably average more points than Jokic. That's how good of an off-ball complementary player I think Maxey is. Also,
Yeah.
I'll make some more bold claims. We talk about if Joel was healthy last year. If you replace Kyrie Irving on the Mavs with Tyrese Maxey last year. Just switch them. Same result.
Mm,
Same result.
okay.
I think
Yeah.
you. I think you compare Maxey with a Luca,
Mm,
and he plays the Kyrie role better just because he more athletic, faster, and a better
mhm.
catch and shoot player. Just straight up. Like, um,
Right, right, right.
think about a Giannis type. Think about the pace, the similarities in pace of a
Mm,
Giannis. I'm talking about speed.
yep.
Giannis and Maxey
Yep.
coming at you all game.
Wow. Wow. Yeah.
So I say all that to say I don't really I think that's it for the big player. LeBron. Think about LeBron and Maxey. All of catch and
Whoo,
shoot.
man.
So what I'm
Yeah.
saying is Tyrese Maxey is arguably with the worst of the MVP caliber players and getting the results he gets.
Right. Like they could have
So
still went to the finals with that combo. That's kind of yeah, that's kind of crazy to think about. I never
because
thought about that. He's like the
because
perfect
you
complementary
say
guard.
of literally he can play. I mean, he could play with Kobe. I mean, but with a Kobe or MJ, you probably want to like a defensive stopper at your one. But then again, like, all right, Tyrese Maxey is a better shooter than Derek Fisher,
Yeah. Yeah.
significantly better.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
is he a better defender than Derek Fisher? Probably not. But is he like way worse? I don't think so.
Yeah. Not way worse. Nah. Nah.
Could he play with Jordan, and Pippen? Because then you
Right.
got
Right.
two
Right.
defenders right there, and then I mean, you know, he like
This is a crazy point. Yeah.
if you put current Tyrese Maxey back with Jordan at the beginning of his first 3P, he ends up being like the best shooter in the 90s. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like so,
Like by a lot.
forget the Jordan point. The Jordan point ain't fair, but I do stand on the point of like Joel could do more from Tyrese, like in terms of like rolling all the way,
Right.
in terms of just not having sticky hands and being able to just make better passes and more frequently good passes. So, I value Tyrese a lot. It's just unfortunate his timeline didn't fully align with Joel. But it's just it's fucked up that we expect him to take on this role of primary guy. We're seeing him fail and people are, not seeing the
Right.
value,
Right. Right. Right.
you
Right. He
know.
doesn't deserve he doesn't deserve all of the criticism that he might be getting. Now granted, he's still putting up numbers. I mean, currently he's in a shooting slump, but he's still putting up numbers. And it just goes to say like it goes back to your old one of your older points where you mentioned the combo of Maxi and somebody like Zion. Just based off of this discussion right now, you see how crazy effective that would be based off of what? Gravity. Him being the perfect complementary piece to somebody who draws a lot of gravity when it comes to defenders. Zion, we know he's unstoppable in the paint. So the paint that it's like who you gonna guard? You got Maxi or you got Zion? You're gonna have to stop Zion or Zion score 50 on you any given moment. And if you don't guard Maxi, then Maxi's such a good enough shooter,
Just pull it.
he'll drop
And here's the
40 on
thing.
you from three. Like,
Here's the thing. Zion gets to the rim. Zion takes the most rim attempts. Zion takes as many rim attempts as LeBron and Giannis, more
right,
than them sometimes.
right,
So
right, okay,
when think about where Joel gets double teamed at. He gets double teamed in the mid range.
right,
But imagine you got a double team Zion right at the rim. So think about the more spacing you get. Cause see, people only think spacing is the 3-point line. But if I can draw you
right.
all the way to the rim, it clears up all that other space. And not to mention, I know this isn't a comparison thing, but if you know anything about Zion Williamson, you'll know he's a significantly better passer than Joel Embiid. Significantly.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, man, I'm glad we got that discussion in. Like Daryl Morey, I hope you see this. Like I
Just
wish.
take that. And you know, look, I understand the low level response to that is so you want to have Zion and Joel, and that, yo, that's a good point. But
That's not
I
a
would
bad
rather
combo.
have Zion and Joel than Paul George and Joel, and I think you would too, whoever they were.
Just simply because Paul George, the way he plays, this is kind of interesting too. Paul George also needs somebody
He needs a
to
table
take
setter.
gravity off of him.
Hmm.
That's not a bad thing. But
It's
when
not
you
a
look
bad thing.
at like,
And he's 35.
and he's
Don't forget
35
that.
on a team
Like,
on
do
a,
y'all really think he about to play more games than Zion over the next couple years? I don't think so.
you know, you got to
I don't
think
think
about
so.
that. I think Daryl Morey was just trying to consider the fact of just putting great complementary pieces around
Right.
Joel. But I think that he did not fully consider that you might need somebody who can fill in for Embiid when Embiid's not in, which we know historically he's not ever going to always be there. So you got to be able to win without him too. And there are stars that you could have potentially got or waited for that could have that could have done something like that. So it's not all Paul George's fault. Not all Paul George's fault.
No.
But
You know what?
this is a crazy underrated
Again,
point though.
if Joel is healthy, we're having a way different convo. You know, but
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's my thing with Maury, right? Okay. There was no pathway to getting Zion last summer. We got it. Now there is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And if you don't if Paul George come back and we have another year like this next year, it's not gonna be no Daryl Morey or Nick Nurse.
Yeah.
And I don't have any inside sources, but we're having a conversation now about firing him. And the majority of people would say let go of Nick Nurse. I don't know about Maury because he hits on them draft picks and
I was about to say
losing
he
him.
kind of
But like, do
he's
you
making
think
up
people
for it.
care about that? See, but remember, Daryl Morey is a he won a championship on a document sheet. So
Right.
people are going to say, "Oh yeah, he hit on all those draft picks, and we've won how many championships?" And at a certain point, that does hold some validity. So if I'm Daryl Morey, I'm like, "Look, Paul George is 35. Okay,
Yeah.
we got listen. One of them Clippers picks, some value out of them Clippers picks, we have to dangle that because we're committed to Joel. You know,
Yeah.
um, so and also like do Tyrese and also like I said before, identity wise, like we become an interior team that has
Yeah.
post presence, and we go to Maxi, shoot, score 50, and that
Yeah.
it's not fair to Maxi, and we'll never win that way. So
That's a fact. That's a fact. All right. Now let's move on to another player who, well, I should say another two players who are really showing that they could be a great fit. Uh in the Sixers game over the weekend against the Warriors, we saw a breakout game from Quentin Grimes. And he goes off of 44. He shows that he can be extremely aggressive. He
mhm.
showed that he was able to hit the three consistently. I think he went 6 for 9.
Yes.
Uh, he showed that he could go to the paint. I mean, he even did a move on Steph Curry behind the back, went around, layup. He showed a bag. You know what I mean? He showed that he could. He showed that he had a bag of tricks. That he was a versatile young scorer, and he had a 40-point game before Paul George. Which is wild to me. He also showed defensive ability, so he showed a very good all
He's
around
been a
game,
Sixer for 2 weeks.
and he's only been a Sixer for 2 weeks.
He wasn't even
Uh,
playing in Dallas. I mean, he was coming off the bench there. He wasn't no featured option. You know what I'm saying?
right.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
How do you feel about his breakout game? I mean, I know he already had a 30 ball, but how do you feel about him completely breaking out and going for 44? And obviously, if he had made the 6 free throws that he missed, that would have been a 50 ball.
that'd have been 50, yeah.
Talk about
Um,
that.
well, so in the past I've talked about Quentin Grimes. What I considered him as was just one of those young guys that constantly is getting moved around that, on 2K, it's fun to see how they develop in the future. You know what I
Right.
mean? It seems like they have some potential. You remember them from college, and you know over the course of anyone's fanhood of basketball, you're going to have a lot of just random prospects that you're like, man, in the right position, this guy. And Quentin Grimes was that for me. But he's went way beyond what I would have assumed. First, um, that was we won the Warriors game. Um,
Yeah.
Worth it. It was worth it. Because he's uh show the energy. He carried, that was a carry. It wasn't just 44 casual 44. He carried us start to finish. There were many points in the game where we couldn't get a bucket outside of him, and then he just gets a bucket that keeps us in it. He showed spirit in a period where it looked like they was giving up on Nick Nurse last week.
Yeah.
He's a new guy, so you want to see him integrate himself into what we do and to be aggressive like that. And so
Yep.
I really appreciated that. It gives me a lot of confidence going forward. We are going to they've probably already agreed to a little under the table thing anyway. So, he's going to get a big number and he's going to get a multi-year deal. And when you sign a Paul George, you expect him to be your top wing option. And
Yeah.
when he doesn't produce that, it's good to see your team rebound and pick up somebody else who like, okay, Paul George doesn't even need to be all that because we got this other guy that looks like going forward, he has a chance to be that as well. And he showed us that with the 44 points. And he guarded Steph the whole game.
He did. He did. This is what I mean. He showed a lot of versatility. He essentially did the things that we wanted to see Paul George do. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, it was extremely impressive. It was extremely impressive. I didn't expect all that from him. I know that that was your guy. You saw him being a good fit here. You saw him having great potential. But did you even know that he would be able to go off for 44, potentially a 50-point game? Did you see that coming?
No. And there's something else I didn't see coming, and I didn't really pregame with you about this, but I'll put it out there. So a lot of times when you have a young player, right? You remember when Maxi and Embiid was coming up, and
Yeah.
you see the focus on some of their advanced stats, and with Embiid, it was like, man, his plus minus and his per 36 and his scoring rate, scoring per minute, and these are all things that he grew in, and these are like the strengths of his game. He's like I think he's the number one per minute scorer in NBA history, and it culminated in last year where he was scoring more points than minutes played
Right.
with Tyrese Maxey very early in his career. You're like, man, he can get to the rim very frequently. And then he developed his catch and shoot, and you're like, wow, he's one of the best shooters in the game. And he grew and grew and grew.
Yep.
So early signs of what do you see positive on the statistical side with Grimes? Now, this is stuff I didn't know, but the internet does a lot of research.
Okay.
His on and off stats with Tyrese Maxey,
Hmm.
only in this brief period, it's looking like he has the most chemistry with Maxi than Maxi has ever had with any other teammate. So they're getting
Hmm.
more with him and Maxi just naturally. If you watch the game, Maxi is kind of when he passes it to Quentin, it's just kind of like a familiarity, like they've been playing together much longer. And
Yep.
um Maxi had 11 assists in the game where Quentin Grimes had 44 points. And you typically only see Maxi have a lot of assists when Embiid's playing. If you notice that, it's a pattern.
Right. Right.
Um, but he had 11 assists and you could
Yep.
if you watch the game, he was very the chemistry between them is great. It's good to see those two be a good fit. And another thing that I guess I don't want to spoil it, but it's for a later point Quentin is a much better passer than you would know too, which is another thing you want to see alongside somebody like Maxi. So I didn't imagine them two to have great chemistry like this
Mhm.
immediately, with such a high offensive rate, being able to get out in the fast break and play to their strengths like that. I didn't see no 44-point game coming, especially he literally matched up against Steph Curry and outplayed him and beat him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's a thing. It's one game, but imagine you're young, you're getting traded back and forth. You're with the team that's gonna keep you long term, and now you're having a sort of success. So well beyond anything I could have imagined, and I'm really happy for it.
It's just interesting too because the Warriors were coming off of a 5 game win streak.
Yeah, Steph
Um,
Steph lighting everybody up.
he was lighting everybody up. I think then he have a 56 point game
Against Orlando. Yeah.
against Orlando. So he was coming out ready to fire, ready to, ready to get hot again, ready to destroy the Sixers. On paper, that was supposed to be like we were just supposed to get rolled over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Knocked off a cliff. But instead, we came out with some fight. Now, um, it's interesting to me that Grimes comes out there and leads us to a win because we saw Maxi was struggling in that game too, but we saw Yabu stepped up. Yabu came through. He got the high release point. His three was consistent. He hit contested shots. He hit open shots. How did you feel about Yabu kind of being the co-star in that game with Grimes? Like I mean, what'd you think of that? Because Yabu seems to fit pretty well too.
Well, listen, if you watch the game, um, every time he caught it at the 3-point line, you felt like
Mhm.
he could make the three. Um,
Yeah,
his shooting, simple pull up game. He gets on the wings and the corners, top of the key. Doesn't matter where. I don't have his shot chart up, but if I had to imagine, I would say he's pretty efficient everywhere.
yeah,
Um, Hustle player, unselfish. Uh, it's a shame that we're having the season that we're having, and you don't get to see him with Joel more. But
oh man,
um, you know, I feel confident going forward, even though we're going to resign him. I know some people aren't super happy about that, but uh, we're going to resign him. He's a great 3-point shooter at a big position. He shows up. Um, and in a lot of ways, and where you say like Maxi is like the greatest complementary piece when he's at his best, I think
yeah,
Yabu is that version of like, you know, a power forward, in modern day NBA. Just a great complementary player. Hustles on
right.
defense, makes the easy plays on offense. What else can you ask for?
Yeah, I think you really can't ask for too much more than that. And to me, it almost reminds me of like a better DN3 version of Niang when we had Niang. Like
Hmm.
I really liked like I remember I really liked Niang's ability to just be a knockdown shooter, just professionally knock down threes. You know what I mean? The clip he was knocking threes down, I'm sitting there like, man, how did we let him go? So when I look at somebody like Yabu, I don't want to miss on that. Like I feel like at all costs, you got to sign him and Grimes because in moments where we need it, they seem like they're going to still be able to give you a punch defensively and offensively, and they're not scared of these moments. They're going up against competition that, like superstar level, all time great competition, and they don't even care. They're gonna light it up regardless. I think you got to have some dogs like that out there when you're finally fully healthy and ready to run with the whole squad. So I definitely had to mention Yabu. Like I know that was the Grimes game, but like Yabu came through with some big shots.
Oh yeah.
I know that we also talked about in the group chat. Kind of talked about experimenting with having Yabu as a small forward. I know you
You
weren't really.
you talked about this. I did not talk about it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I mean, well, see, because I want you to. I want you to expand on why you didn't think it was a good idea, and I just want to mention real quick why I thought it would be a good idea.
Mm.
Real quick, I just thought it would be a good idea because I feel as though he might be too small as a power forward. Um, he has like he's got some height to him, and obviously he's got some bulk to him. Like he's strong, but at the same time, I feel like a lot of times Nurse ends up putting him like against like against players that are just like bigger than him, stronger than him, and can score right over him. Uh, I wouldn't mind like experimenting with him at the small forward so he could play some people more his size, and maybe he can get like I don't know, maybe he can get like a challenge that he can succeed in more. And I wouldn't mind also like part of the reason I wouldn't mind trying him at small forward is because I would like to see Bona maybe come in as a power forward. Somebody who also can play the center, might in some ways be a little bit smaller than these other 7 footers. You know what I mean? But he's got that energy. Kind of like remember how back in the Paul Reed era we played with high energy b-ball Paul. Paul had high energy. He could score. He had his moments and whatnot. It was interesting when we played him next to Embiid sometimes. You know what I mean? I thought that that was I thought that was a good little experiment sometimes. I look at it almost like I would hope to see something like when you saw the Lakers back in their championship run with Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis, even though he can play center, he naturally admitted that he would rather play power forward. And coincidentally, when the Lakers won that championship, he excelled at the power forward position. He didn't have to guard Jokic, you know what I mean, full time at least. He didn't have to guard a lot of those elite 7 footers. You left that up to Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee, right? But you notice once they shipped those guys away, once they shipped Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee, and they gave Anthony Davis the primary role as the center, he wasn't really able to excel as much. Even though there was a year where they actually still could have won the finals, it didn't even matter. But like most of the time after that championship run, I don't think he excelled at that. And I kind of wonder if like you definitely want to keep certain players in their natural fitting position. I don't know. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
So okay, I'm not really sure why you. I mean, I've seen. I think a lot of Yabu's worst matchups come when he's at the 5. I don't know about the 4, 6'7",
Okay.
260. So he's just. And one thing about Yabu, and if you might not get this, but someone might. If he didn't get called for traveling every time he put the ball on the floor from the 3-point line,
Yeah.
have you ever noticed that? Like he always okay. When you run him, imagine this. Yabusele at the 3-point line catches it. His defender is trying to run him off the 3-point line.
Right.
I've never seen him put the ball on the floor and not carry. And I think he's actually pretty nimble, pretty good ball handler, but um, you know, you don't I wouldn't want him at the 3, the 4, and the 5, depending on the matchup.
Mm,
Is where I would want him. I really don't even know how else to describe it because he's not a 3. His game is not a 3, and he posts up a little bit too. They don't
yeah,
have
that's
players to
true.
get him the ball there, but like Joel can get him good looks in the post up. But
Mm,
I just like him better at a forward, not really
better at the 4.
not a wing, not a ball handler. Kind of like a traditional forward, just with
Okay,
a
when you put it that way. Okay, I see that.
jumper.
Yep.
Yeah. Bona, do I think Bona can play the 4? He can potentially play the 4. Like if Joel got fully healthy to where he was last year, like movement
Hmm.
wise, yeah. Um, in a defensive oriented, like McCain, Maxey, Grimes, Bona, Embiid type of thing. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
man, that sounds like a nice lineup right there.
I mean, maybe we'll see, but um I think just with the limits of Bona's game, like you just want him screening and dunking, really until he shows he can do more. That positional thing is tricky with the bigs because like it doesn't really matter what Anthony Davis says or feels. He's way better at the five. I hate to say it, especially like
Really?
yeah, especially when he's playing with the Lakers. See, LeBron was also trying to transition into a four, which
Uh,
you know, with his size and with what he wants to do in terms of like, I don't want no wing that's going to chase me to the three. I want to get a couple where the four ain't going to come out to me, so I could just catch it and shoot it, or
right, right.
I want to just end up closer to the rim, being a four. You know what I mean? So, you know, where does that leave Anthony Davis if LeBron James, who's still better than you, plays your position? Like
Right.
gotta adjust. And he's not no floor spacer or no ball handler that can you really want him catching at the three and driving all the way in like like a LeBron or a Yabusele, at the four.
Yep.
So, he's not a great floor spacer. So you want to play LeBron at 40 with two bigs that don't shoot threes like knockdown? No, you don't want to do that. You want to play LeBron as one of your big spots, play him, with somebody that can protect the rim and rebound and play around him. And look, Anthony Davis is one of the best players of all time, but he's more in the David Robinson role where like ultra talented but was missing something that put a cap on their potential. That's the truth about Anthony,
Yep. Yep.
because like Embiid has limitations even when he's fully healthy that he works around. You know,
Right,
like
right, right.
like because Embiid goes to the mid range because when he's at the paint, he don't got the coordination or the strength to just go up like Shaq. But
Right.
that's why he focuses on the mid because he just has that little motion in his jumper. He can
Yep.
just shoot over people. But Anthony Davis is the best lob catcher of all time. He's one of the best, a really good mid range shooter. So there's really no reason he can't play the five and have success. He's just not physically imposing enough from a strength perspective or a durability, sturdiness
And maybe that's what
perspective.
it is, really.
Yeah. And he's unable to play around it. That's why he likes to play the four. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Ah, okay, okay.
So
That's
that's,
that's a good observation.
if somebody wants to correct me or argue with me in the comments, please do. I can only learn, but that's my observation of Anthony Davis not playing the five.
In that comp. Yep. Okay. Now, another thing I noticed in that Warriors game. This is just a funny thing to notice right here, but at the end of the game, Grimes is being interviewed and he makes that comment to Embiid. Excuse me, guys, for laughing, but it was kind of funny because even the reporter, as she was interviewing Grimes, she was like, "Oh man, wow, that was cold right there. What you said there, Embiid." How do you feel about that comment, man? I mean, because I feel like in a way the comment was real. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it was like, damn, on national television, you said that. You know what I mean?
So, okay, let's be grown men about it. Joel Embiid put himself in that situation.
Yeah, yeah.
I
How about
listen,
that?
I don't think I'm the absolute best leader to ever touch earth. I don't think I know everything. I don't think tomorrow I could be a franchise player on the NBA team. I'm not saying that. But I don't think that criticizing a player in the best game of their career about missed free
Mhm.
throws,
Yeah,
that's not what a leader does, in my opinion. That's what Embiid said to him.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You're right. He
He
started it.
said, how
He
many
started
free
it.
throws that you missed? Come on, man. He said, yeah, I'm waiting for you to come back. That's a
Ooh.
weird and that's almost I mean, I don't look, I just saw what everybody else saw.
Right.
I've interacted with other humans before. I've won stuff before, and I don't know. I wouldn't. And look, they just became teammates.
Right.
So it ain't like I've seen him do it to Maxi before. they have an interview. Oh, you suck tonight, man. Oh, you were so bad. Oh man. I think that's weird. I don't think that's good. And Joel has a pattern of doing it, but I know he's
Yeah,
playful. I don't know him. I I just think because he hasn't won anything, I look at that and I'm like, why are you doing that? Why are you not pulling him to the side? Like, listen, man, I see you being here a long time.
yeah,
I can't. How would they just drop? They just put me out for the season. How about that? I can't wait to get healthy. You know, look, I'm 7 feet tall. He's 6'5". I put my hand on his shoulder, like, listen, I see you being a part of this team going forward. Like, you've been traded a bunch of times. Fuck that. We're keeping you.
right, right.
We're gonna
Okay.
keep you this off season. Look, you and Maxie, y'all play so well together. You can carry when he can't carry. Let's
It
keep
seems
building.
like,
Let's finish out the year strong. Like good stuff.
yeah, yeah,
I would say
exactly.
that's what I think a lot of other people would say. I don't know what leader would say, okay, let's pull up your stat sheet. Okay, 44 points, 16 of 22 shooting, but you missed free throws. Why'd you miss the free throws? The game was over 15 seconds ago. Why'd you miss those free throws in a win that we lose all year?
Uh,
Like that doesn't make
it's
sense.
like it
That's
seems like Embiid has that brutally honest, like playfulness, like playful
yeah,
type of joking
I don't think
style.
that was the truth in that moment, though. I
I
think the truth
mean,
that we should like they don't want to tank. They want to win games. The players,
right,
that's what they
right, right,
always say. Players don't tank. Players want to win. Okay, be happy you won. This is your 21st win out of
right.
60 games.
I was
We
saying,
just he just went head to head against Steph Curry in the best game of his career.
it seemed like it come from a place where Embiid might have really, well, not might have, but it looked like Embiid really wanted to see him get that 50 points.
Yeah. This is the same dude who was doing jumping jacks. What was he doing? Cartwheels on a knee that he would only be able
Yeah.
to play 3 more games on. Like,
Yeah,
is
that
it
was
is it optics or is it this is what it is? You know, and look, he already signed that paper. So there's
yeah.
nothing, it doesn't matter what I say, but that's the reality of it. And I love Joel. I would love to see him get healthy. I do believe there's a small chance he could win a championship for us, but it doesn't. I don't. I haven't seen like you can see good leader. So what I saw was bad leadership.
Right.
You can see good leadership. Have you seen good leadership? Have you heard good leadership?
I
Listen,
mean,
listen. Don't forget, a month or two ago, he flips out on a female ref like he gonna fight her.
yeah. Yeah, he snapped.
Gets ejected. He was out weeks, month. He was out for a month. Gets ejected.
Yeah, he completely snapped. He's always kind of had that playfulness. He always had that high
You shouldn't when you listen. If
like
I if
he's a
I was a
jokester. He's
listen,
a
if
jokester.
I was a crackhead, don't tell people I'm playing when I'm doing my crack. Okay? I'm this is not a joke. It's real.
Right, right, right,
Don't
right. I see what
don't
you
you're letting him off easy when you say he's being playful. He literally like he's a like come on, bro. Look at the situation we're in. This ain't funny. This ain't a joke. Like
but that's where, yeah,
bro.
that's where it gets serious. You gotta be willing to find ways to make it, to make your supporting cast better. Um,
Absolutely.
this is where certain players like Jokic and like LeBron get a lot of credit because they're able to not only are they able to do that, they make their teammates better on the court, but they also speak like that. They speak in a way where, like you said, it's not a joke, it's not a game. I'm going to give you confidence. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to, we're going to celebrate. We're going to celebrate when you have big games and do stuff like that. So I do understand that from a leadership standpoint, but I will also say, like we've talked about this before on a previous episode, is that Embiid is not necessarily a leader. Like he is a leader statistically by him being the best player on the court, right? But that's not like that's not always the best leader for the team. Like,
Right.
shoot, look, you look at the Warriors. We've always talked about how Draymond Green is the leader of that team. He's the most serious one. He damn near is coaching when he's out there. Uh, Sometimes he even starts setting up the offense. Like, and when he talks about when he talks about his fellow teammates outside of some of his his on and off court issues with some of his teammates, nonetheless, he is the vocal leader of that team and an effective one. So
Vogel won the court leader. I mean, listen, Draymond catch that ball and looks for Steph with no
yeah.
with no like he don't lose no pride. You know, they be trying to play him. Diana Taurasi tried to play him at the Olympics.
Hmm.
They in a room with the men's and the Olympics women's team basketball, and she says to Draymond, you're the only person in this room that's never been double teamed. And you know what? I'll be honest with you. I don't want to get too much off topic, but that is actually disrespectful to basketball because you're really criticizing him for making the right play, and it'd be too much
Yeah.
of that. But I don't want to get lost. The point is that
No, that's a great point though. That's a great point though.
it is a great point, but I don't want to take away from what you're saying about the leadership thing. So, and how about this? Shout out to Evan Turner. Joel ain't no leader. You put him with Paul George, and what do you get? You know?
That's why it's interesting. Well, it's not even interesting, but it's like you see almost when Embiid is like calling out for for management to go and get Jimmy Butler or to get Jimmy Butler back. You see how when he played with Jimmy Butler, he had no problem deferring to Jimmy Butler. He respected Jimmy Butler. He respected him as a leader. That's one thing. That's one thing that you see is that like he may not himself actually be a real leader. No matter how much he even starts to mature, his personality is just not naturally that. You know what I'm saying? But somebody like Jimmy Butler who commands different things, somebody like a Draymond Green who commands different things from their team. Somebody, obviously like the other players, Giannis, LeBron, like all the other greats, they command these
LeBron.
things from their team,
Hmm.
especially LeBron. I mean, I don't care what nobody say, not to go off topic, but LeBron, you saw the teams that he dragged to the finals. You don't do that unless you're able to like really get into your teammates' heads in the locker room and like hype them up. And like your IQ is like, listen, I could put you guys in the right spot. I know what you can do in that spot. You know what I'm saying? So it's the same thing. Like obviously Jimmy Butler played with Miami, and he took undrafted players to the finals twice.
Twice.
Like that's not no regular thing. And it's like a lot of people when they talk about, like I even watch when sports analysts talk about Jimmy Butler, they always got to mention about how, oh, he's not the 30-point per game scorer like Damian Lillard and Steph and all that. But it's like Damian Lillard, he ain't take nobody to the finals. You know what I mean? And, and,
Right.
and, and like this ain't a knock on him. I'm not saying he can't eventually do that, but his play style and the way that he leads his team, like it hasn't translated, in the biggest moments where Jimmy Butler, he may not in the regular season, he may not score like a Damian Lillard, but in the playoffs, he rises to the occasion better than superstars do.
He's
And
outplayed Giannis multiple times. He's
yeah,
outplayed he's outplayed both Tatum and Brown multiple times.
yeah. I mean, now that alone is crazy that he beat the Celtics. The Celtics who eventually won a championship. He was able to beat them and take them out of their zone completely. So like to me, it just screams that like you don't have to be a crazy ISO scorer, 30-point per game scorer to be considered the leader, and that's where it all comes back full circle to Joel, where since we don't have a leader, automatically he's going to assume that he's the leader. You know what I'm saying? And like until we find that leader, I mean, I guess that's kind of going to be the case. And that could just continue to not be a good thing for us. But um, now to move on from that, let's talk about the game that just happened tonight.
Oh, there was a game tonight? I
Yeah,
didn't even
Oh yeah, there was a game tonight. All right, Sixers versus the Portland Trailblazers. Young up and coming team. Not necessarily making too much noise on that elite level, but they are a young rising team. Talk about some of the things that you saw and in this game, and what were your thoughts on the Portland game?
My thoughts was Tyrese Maxey should have been sat because of his finger injury, which is why he went from scoring 35 a game before this past 5 game stretch, and now he's
Uh,
at like under 20 points a game on super low efficiency. His fingers got injured. He didn't want to tape them. Nick Nurse apparently was trying to teach him how to shoot with 3 fingers. Listen.
oh man,
So he goes out tonight, 2 of 13, before he slams his back on the floor and doesn't come back. So, um, you know, yeah. Grimes had 9 assists. That's how I feel.
now that's a big standout point right there.
And look, hopefully Andre Drummond showed the NBA that he can still be a quality rotation player with 25 and 18. Hopefully he showed teams
Man.
that need centers that, and hopefully they see
a
that.
vintage a vintage game for Drummond here.
Vintage, yes.
25 and 18 all over the place. Affected the game in many ways, but obviously he was not able to overcome the loss of Tyrese Maxey tonight. Uh, but Quentin Grimes, yet again, he steps up, goes for 9 assists. Um, yeah, I mean, like, wow. Yet again, I got to ask you: did you see that coming? Did you see him being capable of having a 9 assist game?
No, what I will say is that early in the game tonight, he was functioning more as an offensive hub. He was getting some pick and rolls with Drummond early on. Um that was another stat that I seen from him from other Sixers fans is that he's doing a really good job of creating in a pick and roll. Um so he was kind of a tone setter tonight. He got Drummond going with some easy rolls to the rim
Mm-hmm.
early on. He found some shooters just being active and running a break. Um,
Yeah,
so did I see 9 assists? Of course not. I definitely look at him as like he's 6'5", 210, so he's like a shooting guard, small forward.
yeah,
Mostly a two.
yeah.
Um, but you know, a pleasant surprise to see him be able to move the ball like that, no sticky hands. You coming off a 44-point game, so you might think you're Allen Iverson now.
Right, right,
But
right.
I really respect the basketball player that, look, Maxie went down, you're home, you're coming off a big game. You could have shot a million shots and did it that way.
Yeah,
But you played the game. These are new teammates. You just went in the flow of the game. So
yeah.
uh, and we lost, which is good for other things.
Now let's talk about that because obviously we know that it was a tough game. I mean, well, it was a rough night for the Sixers. Obviously, with the losses, Tyrese Maxey, Justin Edwards. Uh, I, like, let's just get right into it. I mean, this is like, to me, this revives the whole tank theory. Because at first, we see that Grimes goes off for 44, and it's looking like the team might have gotten some fire in them again because obviously with the Knicks game, it looked like they started to gain some fire in that game, and then move forward to the Warriors game. We actually go on ahead, beat the Warriors, who were playing well before that,
Hmm.
and then it started to seem like they were like, nah, we ain't tanking nothing. You know what I mean? We're actually gonna go for the play in and we're gonna go all out and we're gonna start making some moves. But then you come to this game and Kelly Oubre, coming off of a good game, great, a good like great shooting night. Paul George coming off of a good game, showing some vintage, some vintage level Paul George. Then you got Grimes, obviously, completely breaking out as a Sixer. Um, yeah, like you just start to see those guys have great nights, and then all of a sudden everybody is sitting. They say Oubre was sick. I mean, I don't know. It's like me personally, I'm gonna start it right now. I know this sounds like a conspiracy theory, but like check it out. I'm not buying it. You know me as the conspiracy guy in the group. Like I got no problem going,
Yeah.
going kind of extreme with it. Like I think that it's possible that like Phil said, Maury might have pulled these guys to the side and be like, listen, you guys need to cool out. Grimes, I love what you're doing. Listen, we're gonna sign you. We're gonna give you a contract. Don't worry about it. You proved your point. Chill out. Chill out.
Honestly,
Because you know,
honestly, I would have been like, yo, Grimes, you keep doing that all you want. Ain't gonna be no Maxi to get no 11 assists after the day.
right.
Ain't gonna be no Paul George to hit them late shots to help you out. So you're gonna have to score 50 for the rest of the year. It's gonna be you and Jared Butler and Jeff Doughton. All
Yeah.
right. And Justin Edwards and Bona. Okay.
Yep.
So you ball out. We ain't winning no more. So, but no, yeah, I mean, look, guys are sitting, you know, and if Maury really about it, he gonna use tonight's multiple injuries as an excuse to keep
Yep.
guys out as long as possible. And we're gonna commit to this tank. I mean, we just listen, all of it is unfortunate. Embiid injury, Paul George injury early on in the season. It is what it is. We are 21 and 100 right now. So let's do what we need to do to get the worst
And
record.
like, I mean, and not for nothing, it's like it's about time. Because in a way, it's almost like, okay, they just showed you some flashes of what they can do. Clearly, if everybody's healthy,
Yeah.
we probably are dangerous, actually.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, it's like, listen, if we can get one of them top picks, that could drastically change the next 2 to 3 years for the Sixers.
It could change the next 15 years to
Could change
20
the
years,
next 15 years.
100.
Yeah.
Listen, listen. Whoever picked Iverson in 96, that's still I still feel that in 2025. So Cooper
Yeah.
Flag could be the next White Iverson for us. Who knows? Who
I
knows?
mean,
But I do want to say
yeah.
that when the Timberwolves first got Rudy Gobert, they were fully healthy that first year, and they
Yep.
were a low seed in the playoffs. Okay,
Yep.
if we can get healthy, who knows what we can do? Look at Cleveland, same team, just they play a little different. Who knows
Yep.
what we can do if we get fully healthy and we continue? We already have very good young talent. We could be adding more good young talent come the draft. So anything is possible.
Anything is definitely possible. It just, like I said, it just revives this whole tank theory. Revives the whole tank theory. It's like finally you start sitting these guys down. You don't want them to win too much. Uh, they made some good excuses. Again, Oubre having illness, like whatever, and then
Yeah.
Paul George after just hitting the game-winning shot, now he got a groin injury. I'm not buying it. Like, let's just keep it real. We're doing what we got to do. I'll even go as far to say, what if it's possible that like Maxi, what if he falls on his back and it's just like, yo, Maxi, stay down, stay down, because Maxi's
He
young,
he,
he's
he could have
tough.
said fuck it.
You see what I'm saying? Like, he probably could have got up, and I don't know. They could have gave me either an injection or he could have just rested for a little bit on the bench, and then he could have came back and did something. It's like, nah, listen,
Tank
stay
time.
down, stay down. Let's tank. We're gonna get you some more help in the summer. Like, like I just wouldn't be surprised. Now, Justin Edwards, I do believe his injury was real because you actually
That shit was
saw on,
real. Yeah.
you know what I mean? You saw on
That shit
camera
real.
that ankle roll. And we all know, from playing basketball, we know how them ankle rolls feel. I remember that one game we was playing. And I'm not gonna lie, you started lighting me up. You was lighting me up. And
That was
then
pretty bad.
but then your ankle, it gave out on you. I
That's
forget
like
I
that's
forget
like
how it happened, but it happened.
that's like if Kobe got injured in the beginning of the fourth quarter when he scored 81. Like it was kind of like that. Not saying I scored
Right.
80 on you. It was
No,
really
no, no.
like
But you
like
were
11. It was like 11 straight, but
yeah,
whatever.
you were going off. You were
Yeah.
going off, and then out of nowhere, you know what I mean? Like you can't fake those injuries. That
Yeah,
ankle
that was
roll
a
is
bad
crazy.
jump.
That
Yeah.
ankle roll is crazy. I've had
Yeah.
games where I'm lighting people up and I roll my
Yeah.
ankle. Luckily I can shoot, so it's like all that really like that can reduce me to a floor spacer. But even then, I really got to get off the I really got to
Right.
get off the
Because you
floor
can't move.
because
You're in pain.
I've never been able to actually play through a rolled ankle. No matter how good you can shoot, how good you can do anything, if you can't move, slide your feet,
Can't move. Yeah.
you can't do anything because you still got to defend, right? So and then not to mention Justin Edwards, he injured himself on that same ankle previously. Like that was the same ankle that he had injured before. Now he rolls it again. So it's like, man, shut him down. Because you know what? Shout out to him. He even had 18 points. He
He's
was
shown
having a
enough.
good game.
He's shown enough.
He, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Stay down, stay down. Go to the back. We're bringing you back next year. Don't worry about
Yeah, you
it.
about to get a 4-year deal, bruh.
You see
So
what I'm saying? So, uh, yeah, man, Tankathon, man. It's like it's real. It's real. If we can just
remember
continue
that.
to just go ahead, play the G League guys, let them do their thing, you know, because like you said, that draft pick could change the course of everything,
Yeah.
regardless of who we even get. Obviously, Cooper Flag being the best fit, but you got enough options there where like whoever you
Well,
get,
he's a power forward, defensive,
defensive, see, young,
floor
talented,
spacer, athletic.
floor versatile, can pass. You
He might
know,
be. I think he is the best fit, to be honest.
he would actually on paper he would be the best fit. He
Yeah.
would be the best fit.
And he's not like a super heavy, selfish with the ball guy. So, you know,
Oh
you
yeah.
want
Oh
you
yeah.
want to do one for the road? Oh,
Yes, sir.
I don't
Yes,
know for the
sir.
show. All right, let's see. Sim lottery.
What they saying?
The pick drops to eighth and goes to Oklahoma.
Ah,
We don't want that.
that's where it actually does get scary. Um, it's looking like it's gonna come down to the wire.
Yeah,
The most Sixers thing
it's
possible is gonna come down to the wire. We
that's
couldn't just
already that's already set in stone, bro. It's gonna be a lot of people like me and you watching that draft lottery come 2 months from now.
yeah, yeah, I
Yeah,
think
no
so.
matter what happens, if we lose every game, it's gonna be it doesn't matter. Like we still need to watch it because we
I
can
will
lose.
say this. I want to ask you this before we get out of here. Um, let's say that we still get a top five pick, right? If we don't get the first pick and somebody else takes Flag, who's the next best fit that Daryl Morey should go after if we can't get him? If we can't get Flag, who would you find to be the next best fit?
Okay, you're not asking me who's the next best player, who's the next best
Yeah, I'm asking who's the next best fit and why.
fit is going to be Ace Bailey
Mm, okay,
because fit
interesting.
wise, you have Maxi, Grimes, McCain, and Dylan Harper. At least in the beginning of his career, is probably going to be a 2 or 1. He'd be a 2 on the Sixers for sure.
Okay,
But he would, do you like you have Paul George, so who you gonna start? You got Maxi Grimes, George, Harper. Are you going to put PG at the 4 when he's 35? Probably not.
Right.
So Ace
Okay.
Bailey is the next best fit because theoretically you could put him at the 4. You'll be thin, but that kind of shooting around Joel, that would remind me of like Rashard Lewis and Dwight Howard kind of a pairing. If you remember back in
Oh,
the
snap.
yeah, because Bailey can shoot like that.
Yo,
He can shoot
Rashard
like
Lewis.
and even if Bailey low outcome is like a Rashard Lewis ish Jabari Parker
Yeah,
type player.
yeah.
Let me yeah. But anyway, he's the best fit. But who would I pick? Harper.
Huh.
And I just live with the result. I probably trade PG immediately and force him start Harper at the 3. Harper, Grimes, Maxey.
Harper, Grimes, Maxey. Damn, I'm not gonna lie. That changes the whole backcourt. That changes the whole backcourt. That gives us a lot of size that we actually need in the backcourt.
Yeah.
Like,
See Harper,
because
Harper 6'6", 230.
because I always say, like, I love how good McCain is, but I don't want to run into, like, like, there's some people who fell in love with that combo of Maxey and McCain so much that people might want to try to give that whole combo like a real run. My
Mm-hmm.
fear is that you could end up having a Monte Ellis, Stephen Curry type of situation
We might elevate,
where,
bro.
like, they gonna light it up,
Yeah.
but it's not going to be conducive to like
Cook.
championship ball.
Yeah.
And you saw where they eventually they had to choose one. I don't want to have to choose one. You know what I'm saying? Like, so
If you remember, they actually tried to trade Steph for Andrew Bogut,
yeah, I
and the
remember that.
Bucks said no,
I remember that.
and so they traded Monte.
So and look how that worked out.
Yeah.
Sometimes the universe works in a crazy way.
Hey, just the FYI, the year after that, the Bucks drafted Giannis.
Listen, I didn't even know that. People need to know that. Yes, sir. Shout out to L for the elite facts, man.
Yeah.
And on that note right there, we are we're gonna conclude tonight's podcast. We will see you guys on the next episode. Please join in on the discussion. We love to hear you guys' takes. Let us know if you guys got anything to add, any other elite facts, any other elite combos, lineups. We really appreciate that. Make sure you guys like, follow, comment, subscribe, and
Tap
we'll see
in,
you
tap
guys on
in.
the next. Yep, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
Peace.
Signing out.